Hello to the Brothers Slam. My name's Cam, and we are covering the newest Enormity update by not Kingdoms Forlorn, by Into the Unknown. A couple days late on this one. Life's been busy, manic, and hectic, but excited for it. I gave it a quick little cursory read, and it looks like fun. So let's jump right in. Episode update number 30. Finger Kingdom, Grins, the Conductor, and more. Hi, Spacers. The Shepherd hasn't been quiet these past weeks. Behind the scenes, pieces are locking into place. In production, in design, and in the deeper halls where of the ship where the story turns darker still. This update takes us further inside. You'll see where the path of assimilation leads, which I think is campaign 3 of the base game. You'll hear the Conductor Symphony, learn how Grins evolve under its command, and discover the suit forged from its remains. Oh cool, so the suit is from the Conductor, it sounds like. There's also a glimpse of the latest on production, a word of thanks, and even a short transmission from KF. So suit up, steady your nerves, and follow us inside. The music has already begun. You've seen this picture a whole bunch, but it is very cool nonetheless. The last few weeks have been all about miniatures. Together with our manufacturer, we've just wrapped up the modification phase, the phase where every detail gets checked, adjusted, and locked in before the molds for plastic injection are created. It's not the flashiest part of development. Sorry, I'm butchering reading this, but that's okay. But it's one of the most important. Working this closely with the manufacturer has been an intense process. Their priorities focus on durability and smooth mass production, while ours resolve around precision and detail. Making sure that the sculpt you've seen in render form actually comes to the tabletop, which is really cool that they do that. Sometimes those aims align perfectly from the start, sometimes they need another round of adjustments. The good news is that progress has been steady, even if a little slower than we had hoped, and every iteration gets us closer to the standard we're aiming for, which is a pretty damn good standard as far as board game miniatures go. With most of the miniature work now moving forward, the next major task is the box. What's inside the box? The final insert design depends directly on the shape and sizes of the minis. So with those set, layout works begins in earnest. We'll share more about that in the next update. With production progressing, we can turn our attention back to design, and today that means stepping into the shadows of the Finger Kingdom. Creepy art, look at all those fingies. Dainty digits that they are. Once, the Finger Kingdom was the holiest place aboard the Shepherd. Its halls were lined with symbols of faith, meant to offer comfort and strength to those carrying out their sacred mission. Now those same icons have been defiled. What once inspired is now grotesque, shrines built out of bone, walls marked by grasping hands, every emblem warped and transformed into fingers. The Grins have claimed it. And with them comes their herald, the Conductor. It is here that the final campaign of the core box, Assimilation, unfolds. Everything you've endured leads to this moment, a last stand against the Hand, as it closes around the Shepherd. Each mission advances the inevitable. You cannot stop it, only slow it down. And in doing so, you're forced to push your body, your mind, and your convictions to their breaking point. This is the campaign about desperation, sacrifice, and defiance in the face of a force that cannot be truly defeated. Assimilation reaches its peak through a condition known as digitification. Spread by the Praetorians and the Conductor, it represents the Hand's infection. When a spacer is digitified, they receive finger tokens and an assimilation indicator, newly added to the game at no extra cost, included for every backer, that they place on the Rubicon connector. It marks what the hand takes from you. The more tokens you collect, the less space you have for vitals, stress, and adrenaline. Every step shortens your lifespan, and every token makes survival harder. That's a lot of fun. So that's going to go on like the little track thing and block you off. I thoroughly enjoy that. That's a fun little thing that didn't need to be as involved as it is here. Cool. The Finger Kingdom is the Hand's dominion, and in assimilation, you will discover how much of yourself you can still hold onto before you're counted among its fingers. The Grins. First comes the sound, a brittle crack, like fingers snapping one by one, rolling through the empty corridors. Then shadows move, crooked and smiling, dragging themselves closer. The Grins are carried and brought back to life, every one of them a soul consumed by the hand of the outer dark and spat back as a vessel of hunger. They don't hesitate. They don't rest. And once they've found you, they never let go. Yep, creepy and very cool, that's for sure. The Grins, the most common of their kind, easy to underestimate but always costly to face. Attacking them up close raises your stress, and panic makes you waste precious ammo in wild bursts. Or, if the weapon is empty, you fumble the grip and exhaust it in your hand. Take too many wounds and a parasite will burrow inside you. Left unchecked, it kills, then reshapes the corpse into another Grin. Security deck Grins. Look at that lovely toothy smile. Born from mercenaries, guards, and agents, these creatures prowl their home territory with brutal precision. They strike like predators lying in wait, pouncing the very moment your scouting becomes a little bit too careless. Any close quarters exchanges leaves you drained. Less stress spikes, tokens slip from your pool, and parasites dig deeper. Plus, killing too many at once triggers their counterattack. Interesting. This art, I'm curious if it's for any actual Grin character, like if this actually is a security Grins, or if the security Grins are just going to be like a equivalent of like same art, different stat block, because this art is also placeholder elsewhere. So we shall see. Grin Praetorians, these horrible, handy gorillas. Praetorians are the closest servants of the Conductor, shaped from the Shepherd's fallen spiritual elite. Their presence corrodes everything near them. Distance offers no protection, whether your attack comes from across the room or the edge of a blade. Stress climbs and your spacer pool thins. Instead of parasites, they impose finger tokens, choking your Rubicon connector and squeezing the life out of your spacer. So that's the token that we saw just a moment ago. The more tokens you carry, the harsher their spikes. Hurt them badly, and their retaliation only intensifies, each blow heavier than the last. The Conductor. So many fingers, so nasty. The lights dim, the halls fall silent. Somewhere deep inside the Shepherd, a stage has been prepared. The seats are empty, but the audience is already here. The walls lean closer, the corridors bend, the air itself waits in anticipation, and then it begins. A single crack of bone against bone, sharp and deliberate, sets the tempo. Fingers tap along the metal like a metronome. From the shadows, the choir awakens, alto, tenor, soprano, baritone, bass. Voices strained and unnatural, weaving harmony from agony. Their song is not an accompaniment, it is judgment. Each note becomes a command, a strike, a fractured present into your every move. Cool, well written. I don't really know how I feel about like the musical theme with the Grin, and something about the writing, like the snap of like cracking knuckles and stuff is very evocative, but I don't quite know if the writing like evokes that, if it's what it's trying to evoke, which I get the feeling it is. Okay, excuse me, there's where that placeholder art is. So please note, all visuals are work in progress. We're actively refining the direction of both BP and AI cards. So I hope that all these art is just a placeholder, and they'll do just like in ATO, seemingly Sins of Heracles, and also Kingdoms Forlorn, and have like custom art per each. Also, the Alien Abduction WIP, work in progress, is so cheeky and fun. I love it. So Fear of Hunger. Judgments. It's kind of hard to actually read all those. So different tests, gain finger tokens, move and attack. Doesn't look anything like too wild or unique or interesting, so we'll continue on here. The Conductor does not need a baton. His will moves through the Shepherd, and with it he commands the Grins. They are his orchestra, pulled into rhythm whether they wished it or not. When the music calls for a signature crescendo, it is they who lash out, their claws and teeth the instruments of his will. Only when the stage is bare, when no Grin remains, does he step forward to perform the terrible passage himself. Every step he takes leaves behind the writhing echo of his presence, wriggling fingers spreading from the floor, twisting the stage into something alive. Stand too close is to feel them coil around you, seeding finger tokens that weigh on your body, squeezing the life from your vitals and choking the space from your stress and adrenaline where they begin to become a threat. And still the choir sings. The low hum of dread tightens your chest. The high keen of anxiety shatters your focus. The layered chorus of nightmares bend your resolve until even your weapons falter. Some strikes seize you outright, clutching your body against the cage of fingers on his chest. Oh, the worst kind of hug. Soprano finger. So these are the BPs. Diaphragm. So diaphragm is spelled incorrectly, and that's definitely on purpose. I don't know what the other word choice is there, but it's some sort of pun / fun blend of stuff going on with his abilities for sure, which I always love when they do that. And tenor finger. So you get token, signature, discard 2 finger tokens, spacers may reset their something. Cool, and that is fun. And again, hopefully they have more art on these too. I think the tricky thing is with their previous games, even though they are dark and serious games, the art on them was really fun, light, and evocative by comparison. And I don't know how they'll transcribe that with this game. We'll see. Yeah, so not the finished version. Again, the deeper the symphony, the darker the instrument he calls. In its first movement, the Conductor plays with the weakest Grins, letting them gnaw the melody into shape. In his second, he summons predators from the security deck, merciless and sharp. And when the music reaches its final movement, the Praetorians join the choir, their presence a sign that the hand itself leans close, eager to hear the finale. The Conductor is the most dangerous intruder aboard the Shepherd, not because of his claws or his frame, but because of the corrupting presence he carries. His very existence warps reality, twisting the halls and corridors into writhing fingers. Every spacer, every grin, every corridor of the fingered kingdom bends to his influence, drawn into the performance he conducts. No, I could have tried to read that. That is too small, but cool. Also fun seeing that other angle there. When the final chord collapses into silence, you will not remember whether you fought him or whether you simply played your part. And the Shepherd will remember only the song. Cool. So basically just a bunch of fluff with some examples of what can be done. I have a feeling most of the cards that were shown there were like more basic ones though. But still, cool to see nonetheless. Knuckle Buster Suit. I don't know if this art's gone through any revisions or not, but I do quite like this one. It's chunky, and I'm a fan. Also, like the grills over the face mask is really, really cool. There we are. So, Knucklebuster Suit, built from counterattack technology and spliced with fragments torn from the Conductor, is less an armor and more a captured voice of the hand. Every spacer who wears it knows they're stepping into something dangerous, power wrapped in temptation, defiance laced with risk. Against the Grins, the Knucklebuster feels unstoppable. Its plating lets you shrug off small amounts of it's a hard word to say. Digitification, ignoring figure tokens that would cripple others. The suit's action cards turn the battlefield into a brawl of raw control. You can shove aside enemies, push through their ranks, and strike harder when the Grins close in. That's fun. I don't know if we've seen or heard of many like close combat suits yet, and this one sounds really cool. Hopefully we don't need to wait till campaign 3 to get it. At its most brutal, you can choose to absorb finger tokens during an attack, drawing corruption into your swing and releasing it as a devastating force. Fun. Oh, also I like that they actually have the closed fist there in among the actual big giant other hand. That's cool. And here is a 3D print of it. So they probably printed this in-house. Gotta say though, like the detail on it's really, really awesome. 3D prints are usually never totally indicative of what the final image is going to look like in prints, but it'll be fun to reference this against what the production plastic looks like. All right, but the suit remembers the rhythm of the Conductor. It fragments twitch inside the plating, stirring whenever stress builds too high. A breakdown here is not just a mental crack, but an opening for the hand's echo to slip through. The more you lean into its strength, the more it hungers to take the lead. The Knucklebuster is victory at a price. It resists digification, crushes Grins, and turns corruption into power. Yet, every spacer who straps into it knows the truth. The Conductor is never truly gone, and each battle fought inside this suit brings his voice one note closer. Kingdoms Forlorn! The signal flickers. Let's see, what do we have going here? So the Pledge Manager is currently open. There are Core Game, Expansion, Card Protectors, Princess Slavia, and Little Sir, but there are no reprints, so whatever left is what's left. So if you want it, go check out the GameFound Pledge Manager, and buy. It's very expensive, but Stretch Pay helps with that. I am not going to get it personally. I think I've said it pretty much every time KF comes up. It's probably the first game I've had a little bit of FOMO since canceling, but I think it's the right call. There's so many other games to play, and so many is like 2 or 3, but they're all huge games, and so I just don't have the time for it, and there's like more fiddly bits in that one than others by the look of it. But for all intents and purposes, it is looking really, really good. Okay, so we'll skip ahead. And notes of thanks. So we've seen work in progress versions of this updated sculpt before in just 3D modes, and this looks really cool. I like how they got the face on the monitor not just 2-dimensional, because freehand is really hard. And for painters, being able to have that representation, and just for board gamers who aren't going to paint too, that looks great. And there's also a lot more like mushroom little ification and stuff too. Sweet. Before we close, we'd like to return to something we mentioned in the last update. Back then, we noted how many of you had already made the jump from standees to miniatures. Since then, even more of you had followed, and the response has been overwhelming. It wasn't something we ever set out to push, but to see so many of you choosing to bring the Shepherd to life in 3 dimensions means a great deal to us. The shift speaks not only to the game itself, but to the work of our 3D design team has been pouring into every sculpt, every line, and every unsettling detail. For the whole ITU crew, and especially the artists and sculptors who spent countless hours making sure these suits feel as alive on the table as they do in the narrative, your trust is the best possible reward. Thank you for that. We'll keep working to ensure that every mini feels like it truly belongs in the strange, terrifying world we're building together. Another angle later too. Oh yeah, so much more mushrooms. Cool. Also, I really like that they said this. So historically, they've been very much like a miniature board game company. This is the first one where they've actually had like a full option like entirely of standees. And I'd be really curious about the breakdown of how many people have upgraded, because we could look at the Kickstarter pledges, but that wouldn't show the upgrades. But yeah, so how many people still have the standees versus how many people did upgrade in comparison to the whole back account. I'd be really curious. But yeah, I think it's good for them to see, and I'll be curious if they do standees in the future kind of based on this or not. All right, so we got that other angle. And of course, if you'd like to adjust your pledge, whether upgrading to minis or exploring other options, you can always do so through Gameflight. I still need to go back to Gameflight and finish all kinds of stuff. I checked it out a little bit at the very beginning and haven't gone back since. I'm thinking at this time I'll probably just do one expansion. I am currently covering or working on a really fun, cool project with GameFound called the RPG Party with a whole bunch of really fun, up-and-coming indie RPG creators that some of them have never crowdfunded before and such. And so I really want to support as many folks in that event as possible. And so pretty much any money that I'd be putting towards crowdfunding is going to be going that, probably for the rest of the year. But I think I still might do one expansion, which is with those creepy Helix octopi thing coming out of spacesuits and like the weird dude who teleports. So I think I'll get that one. And it'll probably be a last minute thing before this closes up. But yeah. All right, what do we say here? That's all for the transmission spacers. The Finger Kingdom has only begun to reveal itself. Yep, this all felt much more of like a tease, high-pitched kind of concept kind of thing, rather than anything else. But still really cool to get an idea of. And I'm sure more mechanics and like more gritty, fun, nuanced detail will come out later. Cool, yeah, see you in the comments, Discord, and BGG. Yep, huzzah. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!